Folks, today's guest needs no intro. This gentleman is going straight to the Hall of Fame. Ever heard of VoIP? Voice of IP? You know the thing we're using right now to record? He created it. Ever heard of DeFi? Also created it. Ever used Wi-Fi on the New York City subway system? You can thank him for that too. What about receiving interest on your crypto? That's also today's guest. This man is a true crypto pioneer and trailblazer. Present day, he's the founder and CEO of Celsius, the world's leading DeFi platform. I'm very pleased to welcome to the Crypto News Podcast, Alex Mashinsky. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for that introduction.
Very, very happy to have you here. I try to do some research on my guests before they jump on. And one, I've always been a fan of you, not trying to blow smoke, but I have been a huge fan of you for a while. And just even in the last couple of days doing research, holy shit, have I learned a lot. So thank you for that. Kudos, you're the man. Couple of really interesting things. Before we get into Celsius, the bread and butter of the show, I want to talk about a little bit about your past. I think a good place to start would be, as you're in New York right now, and as we can hear the sirens sort of buzzing in the background, I'd love to talk about how the heck did you get Wi-Fi in the New York City subway system?
Sure, yeah, it's a long story. I'll give you the short version, but basically my best friend died at the towers September 11th, and when those towers collapsed, they kind of shut down the entire subway system in New York City, and it took years to kind of rebuild all that stuff, and obviously a lot of people died. And hundreds of thousands of people got stuck in the subways without any communication, because back in the day, you only had payphones at the stations. That was the only connectivity. Right. And you would stand in line and wait for 5 guys to make their call before you had any reception. Or you had to leave the station and pay the toll to get coverage. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do this for the city. Everybody's helping with different things. I'm going to get this project done, right? And so it took several years to just convince the city to even think about the idea of allowing an external vendor to put signaling in the subways. The New York subway system is the largest in the world, over 300 underground stations. And they just basically kept telling me we don't need it, terrorists may use it to trigger bombs. We're not going to let you run it. And then they decided to open it to bid, and 200 companies applied to build it, right? My idea. Including all the carriers getting together. AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile all got together and bid against me for this concept of building the system. We got all the way to 2007, where we finally won the award. The MTA, which operates the systems, decided that Transit Wireless, which is my company, had the best proposal. It had the least amount of disruption for while we're going to do the build out, and it cost the least amount of money. And basically, we had to foot the bill. We had to pay $300 million to build it and hope that they will come. And they are the 4 carriers, because I can't provide the service. The signal belongs to AT&T. My job is just to rebroadcast the signal underground. And obviously, when we build it, the carrier said, we're not going to put our service on you. We hate you guys. Because the subway system is like a gym membership. You want to... Basically, when you're an AT&T customer and you're underground without reception, it's like you're not going to the gym. They get paid for free, the monthly fee, without you using the service.
Well said.
So we didn't just put Wi-Fi. We put the 5G and the 4G services as well. And today, 8 million New Yorkers get it for free. Basically, we got AT&T, Verizon, Sprint to foot the bill, and all New Yorkers and all tourists get it for free. So I love that. It's kind of similar to what we're doing at Celsius Network, where we got the institution to pay $10 million in interest a week to 650,000 users. So Voice of IP, the subways, Celsius, they all have the same idea behind them of doing good and doing well.
You're the true Robin Hood. I don't know why Vlad thinks he's Robin Hood, CEO of Robin Hood. You're the true Robin Hood. Vlad sort of Vlad's a good guy. Hopefully we can get him on the pod, but he sort of looks like Lord Farquaad. I saw Dave Portnoy ripping him on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen that, but
well, he definitely can't compete with Celsius because we paid over $500 million to our community, and he might give you the service without charging you a fee, but he's not paying anything out. He's keeping all those all the income that he's generating from SEC lending all to himself.
Yeah, and all this recent Doge bag that he's secured as well, that's staying right in his pockets. You touched on Celsius, which we will definitely get to. I want to go back to voice over IP as well, VoIP. Now, the software we're using right now, using VoIP, is it not weird to have created so many massive tools and pieces of technology that people use every single day? And to my knowledge, not a lot of people, no one gets on the subway and is like, oh, thank God for Alex, or no one uses Zoom and is like, oh, thank God for Mashinsky. Is that not weird? How does that all play out?
Well, I can tell you my own kids don't believe that, right? They're they keep telling me Dad, you're not that cool. You didn't create Skype. You didn't create Zoom. So I didn't create Skype or Zoom. I created the underlying technology, the protocol that we're all using because it's open source, right? I mean, we effectively gave it to the world, right? I mean, something like 5 billion people use it every day for all voice communications. And back in the day, it definitely sounded like a crazy idea because the entire internet back in 1994, the entire internet ran on the phone network. So if you went to people and you told them, no, you don't understand, the phone network is going to run on the internet, they're like, look, you just don't understand how things work. Go back to the books and learn, and you'll see that everybody's using a modem to dial in to the internet. But so to be successful at innovation, you have to project yourself into the future. You have to imagine that you're living in 2030 and say, okay, what does the world look like? What does technology look like? What does my phone or my communication look like? And if you can do that, then you can create that new world in your head, and then you try to bring everybody there. You try to bring the rest of humanity there. Now, sometimes humanity joins you, and sometimes it doesn't. You spoke about my successes. These are the 3 unicorns that I created. But I also created another company called GroundLink, which was Uber before Uber. And our focus was on the drivers. We wanted happy drivers equals happy customers. And Uber said, no. Happy customers equals unhappy drivers. If we just subsidize the rates for the customers, for the yappies who zip around in Uber every day, and we don't care how much we pay the drivers are disposable, So and they burned through, $16 billion worth of subsidies, and took the company public. And it's not always the best idea that wins. Many times, if you have enough money, you can take a really bad idea and make it win. Obviously, Uber has never made $1 of profit in its history, and it's an 11-year-old company. So being in the right place is very important. Being at the right place at the right time. Having the right technology, not being too early, not being too late, and then adoption. If you get mass adoption, you win the race. If somebody else gets a mass adoption, even if their model is wrong or broken, it doesn't matter, right? It's they get to the finish line first, and we get to live with the consequences. So there's a lot of bad example of mass adoption. I think Facebook, like a lot of others that are definitely not helping society.
So speaking of mass adoption, your company Celsius right now, that is one thing that is being mass adopted. DeFi, the lending platforms receiving the incredibly high interest rates, and the general public realizing, why am I getting soaked from the bank? Why am I leaving thousands of dollars in the bank for them to give me, 0.5% or 1%? Well, I can go over to Celsius and get, 10% on my crypto. It seems like a no-brainer. Before we get into that and talk about the mass adoption, for the general public, when I told my parents that I was speaking with you and, they're like, tell me about Celsius, I told them everything. My grandma was on the phone too. It was a 3-way. she's like, there's no way you're going to get 10%. Like, no, it has to be fake. And I'm like, well, no, it's true, but that's a great question. So my question to you is, how does that actually work? How can you give such a high percentage of interest?
Sure. So it's a great question, because anyone who'll tell you, oh, it's a company secret or it's a trade secret, I can't tell you, is not going to win the masses, right? I think it's very important that people hear and understand exactly how the yield is created, because then they can entrust their savings and their financial future away from the bank. We always joke that my job is to unbank the banked and bank the unbanked.
Love the slogan. Love the slogan. Unbank yourself.
Exactly. So yield is actually created around us all the time. When you give your money to your bank, they go ahead and create yield, right? They issue loans. They do all kind of like arbitrage and other transactions in the financial markets by effectively using the capital you give them. So because you effectively agree to give him your money for free, almost anything they create out of your money through loans or rehypothecation or arbitrage or market making, all these different financial activities, SEC lending, securities lending, which is what Robinhood is doing mostly, right? And order flow management and so on. So all these things are functions that traditional financial markets do. It's just that these companies, the Goldmans, the Morgan Stanleys, the JP Morgans, do not share with you, the depositor, the money that they create. Now, we know banks make tremendous amount of money. 2 weeks ago, all the banks reported their quarterly numbers. And guess what? They reported all-time record profits. So, and one after the next, they all run to Wall Street with their SEC filings and say, hey, look at me, I made 16% return on my capital. Look at me, I made 17%, 15%. So most banks are between that 12 and 18% range. So they take all this money and they pay it to their shareholders. They pay it in the form of dividends, or they pay it in the form of stock buybacks. So every bank, Jamie Dimon could have 2 weeks ago say, okay, enough is enough. I've been giving too much money to the shareholders. Let me turn around and give half of the profits I have to the depositors, right? So I'm going to take the rate I'm paying from 0.1% to 3% or 4%, right? They can pay you this amount of money and still be profitable. But they choose not to. Why? Because we all as a society have been conditioned. Your grandmother has been conditioned to the fact that the rates are less than 1%. And just like when elephants, when they grow, they tie them to a pole and they think they can't really break away. And when they grow up, they still think that they can't break away because their entire life they were conditioned that, even when they're giant elephants, they think they can't break away. So that's what the banks have done to us over the last 20 years. They've lowered the rates every year. They've lowered the rates almost to zero. And now we are conditioned to give our money for free. So that's what's happening in the traditional finance world. In the decentralized finance world, it's an open market, meaning the market decides what is the cost of capital. The market decides, borrowers decide what they're willing to pay. So the same 16% that Bank of America or JP Morgan makes on your money, people are willing to pay in the open market. The only thing Celsius has done that is different is that we as a company decided that we're going to take 80% of that and give it to our depositors. So we're taking it away from the shareholder. I'm the largest Celsius shareholder, so I'm actually taking it away from myself and I'm giving it to the 650,000 people who use Celsius. Now, it happens that I'm also the largest depositor in Celsius with like over $300 million. So I'm taking it from the left pocket and putting it in the right pocket. But the point is that in 700 years of banking, there has never been a bank in history that paid 80% of its earnings or its income to its depositors. So that's really the innovation. And we created that in 2017, before DeFi, before all this stuff. And people thought we were crazy. People were like, you cannot pay this much money. My own friends told me, Alex, if you paid 4%, I would actually give you my money. But you're paying 10%, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. But I'm like, that's what the market rate is. I don't decide the rate. The market decides the rate.
People do.
So that's what we live in. But now, because there's 100 competitors to Celsius, we have about 18 billion in capital. Now there's over 100 billion slushing around in DeFi. So we're still the largest single player, but there's obviously 100 other alternatives. Now a lot of people are much more comfortable with what we're doing because so many other companies have replicated what Celsius does.
So tell me, do you not have like a top-notch security detail around you at all times? Like, all the big bank execs, are they not coming at you with spears and guns and knives? Like, what's going on there?
I said bad things. Yeah, I said bad things about banks every day. And I was actually removed from several conferences because I publicly stated things that banks who sponsored those conferences found to be too egregious. And the organizers, basically, even though I was invited as a speaker, basically said, okay, your speech is over. We don't want you here. You're upsetting too many people. But look, I think I'm a truth teller. Nothing I say is incorrect or inaccurate. And really, it's not just the banks. I mean, the Fed and our financial system, our Treasury, right? The U.S. government is behaving in a completely irrational way, right? So the analogy is, and think about it, right? In every family, there is this, the uncle or the cousin or the sister or the brother who are this irresponsible spender, right? And they always come to family gatherings and they always need a loan and they always are in trouble and you always have to bail them out or get them out of jail or whatever. And that's how we are behaving. We are borrowing from the future. We're spending money we don't have. We constantly need loans, right? We constantly need to bail ourselves out. We, the United States of America, we, the European Union, we, the Japanese government. So really, this idea of modern monetary theory is really like the crazy uncle who's constantly begging for money and begging to be bailed out, right? And we just keep reflating and kicking the can down the road. So the reason I got so involved with Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other blockchains is because finally I saw a technology that had finite supply. Everything else we deal with has infinite supply. Every company can basically issue more and more stocks, more and more bonds or debt, right, to infinitum. And what we've seen is that really the financial markets, the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange are not really fair and unbiased markets, right? They are being effectively manipulated by the free money that is being injected into them by the Fed or by Treasury or by other players. And really crypto is the free market and the traditional market, which people are telling us are the safest and the most open markets in the world, are the ones that are being manipulated.
When do you think the last domino falls in regards to the U.S. dollar not becoming, the global reserve currency? I've listened to a bunch of your stuff, and you've always spoke about the Roman Empire and how they couldn't pay back their soldiers, and the other currencies throughout history, and now the U.S. dollar with its reign. What year do you think this happens?
Look, it's hard to say. I mean, every empire in history, there were 700 fiat currencies to date, and all of them either lost 100% of their value or the vast majority of their value. So the history of fiat currency is very, very disappointing, right? And for us to sit here and say, oh, we are different, we are the world's strongest empire that ever existed, we are the richest country Rome also, the Roman Empire used to be the richest country that ever existed. Same thing with the Portuguese Empire and the Dutch Empire and the British Empire. I can give you 20 examples. So the dominoes already started falling down, right? It's just that they're not all the same size. The dominoes that are falling down now are the tiny dominoes, and the biggest one is the U.S. dollar. And they're all going to lean on the U.S. dollar, right? So the Zimbabwe dollar, the Lebanese, I think it's dinar, right? The Venezuelan currency, right? I can give you the Turkish lira lost like 60-70% of its value in the last year. So I can give, or the Argentinian peso, right? So there's 20 examples of dominoes that are already falling down. Now, these are countries that, unlike the United States, when they print money, they get immediate inflation because they're not the reserve currency of the world. So it may take 20 years for all these dominoes to fall and lean against the dollar and then make the dollar fall over. But really, it comes down to how long will people overseas will continue to accept dollars, even though we are printing trillions of dollars every month. We're printing crazy. Like, the Biden administration just announced they're going to spend an additional $6 trillion on top of the $4 trillion that we spend every year as the government budget, right? So in 1 year, we're going to create more deficit than it took the United States like 20 years to create, right? So I think we cannot kick the can down the road without any consequences. I don't know if it's going to take 2 years or 20 years, but the outcome is guaranteed to be a debasement of the currency and higher inflation. There's no other outcome. And, I'm on the Austrian side of economics. That's why I love Bitcoin. I love gold. I love Ethereum. I love things that have finite supply. I like responsibility, fiscal responsibility. And I think that just making money right now and letting your kids or grandkids deal with all of the consequences later on is an irresponsible behavior.
This episode is brought to you by our dear friends at CoinPoker, the world's premier crypto poker platform. CoinPoker is a revolutionary blockchain technology-based platform that was developed by an ambitious team of poker players. CoinPoker uses USDT stablecoin as the main in-game currency and CHP as in-game fuel, offering all benefits of the crypto world alongside. CoinPoker also features instant and secure transactions using USDT, Ethereum, Bitcoin, or CHP tokens and no KYC. You heard that right, no KYC. CoinPoker users get huge promotions as they give away thousands in fiat each week. CHP is the currency of the CoinPoker economy, providing players with exclusive benefits and supports future developments delivered to the CoinPoker community. My favorite part about CoinPoker is the mobile app. When I'm on the go, I whip out my phone and play a couple hands of Texas Hold'em or bet on sports. They have an amazing sportsbook, really clean spreads, very clean UX, and an overall great time. If you'd like to check them out, go to coinpoker.com and give them a try. You just brought up Bitcoin. I know you're a huge fan of Bitcoin. Again, seen many of the rants and great talks you've had on that, the store of value, the asset class. We're at a bit of a standstill right now. It's a little wishy-washy with this 50K resistance level. One of the things you brought up many times is the importance of the market being the people for once, quantifying and choosing the level of Bitcoin and its actual worth. It seems like people are pretty set, besides the maxis who obviously wanted to go to the moon, but the people are pretty set and the market is set on this 50K level for the maybe foreseeable future. What do you think needs to happen for it to really, pick up momentum again and go to that next level?
Yeah, so last year I tweeted in January of 2020 that we will close the year at 30,000. And we closed it at 4 a.m. on the 1st of January of 2021. We hit 30,000. So I missed it by 4 hours. And people all reached out to me and were like, okay, you predicted 2020. What's going to happen this year, And I don't remember where we were at the beginning of the year, but I said we will hit a high of 160,000 this year, but we're going to close the year at less than 100,000. So I think we're about less than halfway there as far as peaking, Bitcoin peaking. And I think there's a lot more to go. We've gone very, very fast from that 8 or 10,000 to 50,000 or 60,000. So I don't, anyone who says, oh, how come we're not moving? We were driving at 300 miles an hour. We're allowed to take a break. We're ahead of schedule, like it's okay to just go into the stop and eat a burger and go to the bathroom and then go back on the road, So I think we're doing great. I mean, the adoption this year has been phenomenal. Retail, corporate, institutional. I mean, you couldn't ask for more, right? Banks being opened, crypto banks, right? Every institution, major institution announcing, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Citi, everybody announcing, hey, we opened the crypto desk. We're going to allow our customers to buy the stuff. So I think we're doing just fine. And like any market, you need for Bitcoin to consolidate. Some people are selling, which is great. But, at Celsius, again, we're managing 18 billion. We don't see anyone selling. We're seeing people buying on every dip. Obviously, they're earning 6.2% interest, so there's a high incentive to buy more Bitcoin. But I still think we're going to see another run-up. And there's definitely a FOMO from institutions for change, not from retail, of basically people who are already allocated into Bitcoin, purchasing at all different price levels. So I definitely expect us to hit that 150 or 160,000 price range this year.
I hope so too. That'd be incredible. Nice little early retirement. Obviously the crypto market has done incredible this year. Everyone has loved that. So much money has gone into crypto, billions and billions, trillions, maybe not trillions, but trillion-ish of dollars has gone into crypto. It seems like a lot of that is being taken from the stock market. Now, obviously we've also printed trillions of dollars, but if so much money wasn't going into crypto, do you think the stock market would be higher? Would it be lower? About the same? How do you feel about that?
So value creation is a very weird mechanism, meaning all markets can actually rise at the same time. You think that you're drawing down on gold and you're drawing down on the stock market, but an asset that has scarcity, that has limited supply, you actually don't need that much money for it to double. It's not like if you go for $500 billion to $1 trillion, you didn't really contribute $500 billion of new dollars. It's the demand. The last person to buy Bitcoin dictates what the price is for the entire asset class. So we definitely are seeing migration from gold bugs into Bitcoin, reallocation. And some of it probably has to do with the inheritance, like young people like you that probably going to get some gold from their parents are going to say, I don't want this gold. I'm swapping it for Bitcoin or Ethereum. Same time, people that maybe made 3 or 5x their money on Apple or on Amazon are probably saying, you know what, let me rebalance, let me diversify. So there's definitely some money coming out of there, but I don't think it's in the orders of hundreds of billions of dollars coming in. So I think it's currently there are several $1 trillion worth of cash sitting on the sidelines, and it's enough that just a few percentages of that is going to make its way into Bitcoin for Bitcoin price to double again. You don't need to draw down $1 trillion from the stock market to buy Bitcoin, right? So the Bitcoin market itself is a much smaller market, so it moves on even small changes of demand. So the big question is really at what price points people are going to sell. Like, for example, the mining companies, right? Are they going to sell at 70,000 or 80,000 or 100,000? Or they're going to wait for it to go higher, right? Because they're producing a lot of the new Bitcoin. The people that bought Bitcoin at 10,000 or 7,000 or whatever, are they going to sell at 60 when it hits that all-time high again? Or they're going to wait for it to jump much higher? So we know what the supply looks like. We know exactly how much Bitcoin is being created every day, right? But we don't know how much of the selling is there. How much of the selling is going to show up at different price levels, because we've never been here before. We've never been at the 70,000 or 90,000 or 100,000 levels. So So demand is definitely strong and accelerating, which is great news. And that makes me very confident that sooner or later we're going to flush through all of these weak hands and really hit amazing numbers for Bitcoin. It's also, again, it's not that Bitcoin is so great. It's that the rest of the world is printing money so recklessly that more and more of the smartest and the richest people in the world are deciding every day, you know what, I thought I'm going to allocate 1%, I'm allocating 3% to Bitcoin, right? They're basically increasing their allocation. And some people like Michael Saylor are like 100%. You know,
he's a sick puppy though.
Well, it's great. We need more ambassadors like him. You know, I'll remind everybody that in 2017, our top ambassador was John McAfee. You know, he was our top ambassador. So I'll take Michael Saylor any day of the week to be the Bitcoin top ambassador.
I love that. You talked about wealthy people putting 1 to 3% of their net worth into Bitcoin, which something that would have been a much more efficient and larger investment would have been Cell Token. What a treat. Every time I look at the charts and I see Cell Token, I'm like, oh man, you missed the boat on that one. Hopefully I didn't. Cell Token is up, over 6,000% in the last year. I love going to the leaderboard and you see, the Cell Token leaderboard, the top 500 hodlers, and we have the machine himself with 40 million Cell Tokens. I love seeing that. Tell me why one should hold Cell Token, and are there any future plans for Cell Token down the road?
Sure. So we really created this for the community, right? I mean, the project was funded by the community with an ICO in 2017. We delivered on everything we promised. We created tremendous amount of value. We created over 300 millionaires. Most of these people, these are not rich people that, cashed out of Amazon and then jumped in here with millions of dollars. Our average depositor is $14,000. So these are people for whom we changed their lives forever, right? They believed that we were here to do good and do well, and they helped us bring others, right? I mean, we don't advertise. We don't really do all the crazy stuff that Coinbase or BlockFi or other people do, right? I mean, we're much more community-centric. We rather pay you $40 to bring one of your friends and pay them $40 than give it to Facebook or to Google, right? Why spend money on advertising if I can give it to you? And if you're having a great experience, you will also bring your friends. So our mantra worked exceptionally well. Like you said, Masari ranked Cell Token as the top performing token or coin last year, way ahead of everybody else was ranked there, Thea and Bitcoin and Ethereum and everybody else, right? So, and again, it's because we created so much value for the community, right? It's not because we sold a dream or we gonna launch something next year, right? There's so many projects that are building on a promise. They're creating hype and people getting excited and they hope that something will happen. We're adding $1 billion a month right now in net deposits. So when we say 18 billion,
wow.
We just a few weeks ago celebrated having 10 billion in assets. We printed 10 billion t-shirts and they're already obsolete because now we have to print the 20 billion t-shirt. So that's how fast we're accelerating. And it's because, again, we're giving 80% back to our community, to our depositors, right? No one is crazy enough to do that. Binance, is bragging about how they're giving 20% back. So Celsius is a much more, doing better for our users, and we plan to continue doing that. And Cell Token will take care of itself. I mean, our utility, which is earning yield on your money, doesn't matter if you have gold or Bitcoin or Ethereum or a stable coin, you earn positive yield anywhere between 4 and 24%, right, on your money, paid in Bitcoin or in Ethereum or in other coin. You can also earn it in Cell, but you can come to Celsius, never touch Cell Token, make a lot of money, withdraw it in Bitcoin, and never talk to us again, never touch Cell, and we're happy and you're happy, right? So We got to create yield. We gave you most of it. It's a win-win relationship. So I think this business model is a killer app, right? Yield is the second killer app of crypto. The first one is store of value for Bitcoin. The second one is yield. And I think Celsius does it better than anyone else. And again, we have more assets than anyone else. We've paid more interest than anyone else. We've been doing this longer than anyone else. So that's the secret for the Cell token success.
One of the quotes you have on, and by the way, you are literally a quote factory. Like you gotta start a book or just have a Alex Mashinsky Twitter that is strictly quotes. But one of the quotes you had about Celsius and the Cell token was, great asset, does well, does great, pays high yield. It's a combo of a dividend stock and has crazy upside in the stock itself. When you think about that, like that doesn't grow on trees, and that opportunity is far and few in between on the actual stock market. And you guys have intertwined all of that together. It's such an awesome place. What are the next steps for Celsius in regards to the whole worldwide expansion and really getting mass adoption to become a thing?
So there's only 695 million Cell tokens, right? And half of them are held by the company. So in circulation, there's less than 300 million. So you have to think to yourself, okay, limited supply, even more limited than Bitcoin or Ethereum, because Bitcoin and Ethereum have inflation. They're creating new Bitcoin and new Ethereum every day. Celsius does not create any new Cell tokens. So we're growing at about 3% week over week, just in number of subscribers, right? So we're now at, like I said, 650,000. Do compounding 3% week over week, right? How far are you going to get? So there's going to come a time where you're going to not have enough Cell token, because every week 60% of our community says, I don't want to be paid in Bitcoin. I don't want to be paid in Ethereum. I want Cell token. So we have to take our earnings, go to market and buy Cell token in the market so we can deliver it to our community. And just like with Bitcoin or Ethereum, the Cell token holders say, I'm not selling. Why would I sell to you? I know that next week Celsius will be buying in the market, and the week after that, and every week they have to buy more and more and more. So if I just sit on my hands and wait, the value of the token will appreciate, right? So that's the dynamics. That's basically the tokenomics of the Cell token. And I don't think there is any other project today that does that, right? I mean, there's a lot of projects that shower governance token on you, that they give you farming, but they don't have this tokenomics where it's a win-win-win for everybody, right? Like you said, in Celsius, you can come and just earn yield. You can earn yield and earn it in Cell token, right? Or buy Cell token, right? You can also buy the equity. You can buy into the equity of Celsius. When you gave all that money to Coinbase and in terms of fees and buying Bitcoin from them and so on, did they send you any thank you notes and said, hey, here are your shares. Come participate in our IPO. You created $60 billion worth of value.
Nada,
right? At Celsius, you get to participate. We allowed, we basically, besides the ICO, we also invited our entire community to come and join us in our equity round, and over 1,000 people from all over the world bought equity in Celsius. They're sitting on the bus right next to me. They own equity, they own Cell token, they have coins on deposits that are earning interest. It's a win-win-win. All of our interests are aligned. So that when you have all your interests are aligned, it's very easy to make decisions, right? You basically look to the left, you look to the right. Yep, let's add this token, let's add this coin, let's increase the rate, and so on. So it's an amazing ride. I get thank you emails, thank you letters every day. It gives you tremendous energy. You want to work 24 hours a day. And again, this is my 8th startup as a founder. So, I think it's a great opportunity to really scale this and make it into a global bank, right? Because today we're still a niche crypto market company. So we are betting on 100 million people joining us, right? And changing lives for 100 million people, enabling them to see getting to financial independence, seeing light at the end of the tunnel, getting to seeing that you can make it to retirement, you can help your parents, you can help your family, right? All these things are things that almost like faded away or disappeared from our lives. Most young people can't afford a house, can't afford to get married, can't afford to have more than one kid, so, and it's all because of, again, this inflation pricing where most people just can't afford to live their lives.
This has been incredible, Alex. One last question before we let you go here. You had a quote, again, straight from the quote factory, goes as follows. You said, "I was born in communism, grew up in socialism, and thriving in capitalism, and crypto is decentralized Buddhism." How did you work that together? Like, where did that come from? That's almost, you sound like you got a bit of Naval in you. Like, where's that from? I love that.
Well, so look, I grew up, I was born in the Ukraine. My parents had this old, decrepit house. I had an outhouse. I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the winter. Ukraine, the winter is a serious winter. You had to go up a hill to go to the bathroom. So, it's not like I was born with a silver spoon and magically everything I touched turned into gold. So I struggled through life. I grew up in Israel. My parents immigrated. I grew up in Israel. Went to the military there, and I've seen horrible things, right? Both in before I came to the United States, and when I came to this country, I was like, this is amazing. This place is, most Americans, I always say that every day, you're Canadian, but the same is true for most Canadians. They don't appreciate what they have. Like, you're better off than 99.9% of the population around the world, and most Americans just take it for granted, and they complain about, their Tesla and the highways, and they only take 2 vacations a year and whatever, So my point is that communism, capitalism, socialism all have their advantages and disadvantages. But today, even capitalism, which works so well for me, does not work for, I would say, 99% of Americans, right? I mean, so we need a fourth system. And when I look at decentralization, for me, decentralization is like Buddhism. It's a fourth system which we can carve or curate in our own, in the best way for humanity, right? So we want to take the best ideas out of the existing 3 systems and make sure that we don't build another Wall Street. We don't build another hierarchy in which people just don't get to express their the best they can be, but rather judge people based on their contribution to society instead of their ability to generate profit or generate money, right? Which is how we measure society today. Our heroes today are the guys who became billionaires, are the guys who are celebs on TV or whatever, versus the people who's the scientists or the people who took us to the moon or whatever. So I think the thing that is very important for me is to make sure that what we build here is done for the community and by the community, rather than going and bragging around saying, I bought Bitcoin at $300 and now I'm a billionaire and bow to me, because I got in on the bus before you. So I should be worth billions because I got in on the bus 10 minutes before you got in on the bus.
Oh, you're right.
That's basically what's happening today. So at Celsius, it's all about giving more and more and more. We have never charged a single Celsian a fee. Never. Right? So the whole idea that you can create a giant company with tens of billions of dollars in assets that pays hundreds of millions of dollars of interest and never charge a single customer a single fee is a whole new concept, right? And it's very hard for banks or financial institutions to compete with that, because their entire concept is, okay, we're going to pay them nothing to deposit. We're going to charge them for inactivity fees. We're going to charge them ATM to withdraw their money. We're going to charge them on the credit card when they want to use their money. Everything is a toll collector fee approach, right? And that is just, all of us get used to that. All of us get used to the fact that we work super hard. Some of us work 2 jobs. Then we give our money to this institution and they rape us and there's nothing we can do about it.
Oh, you're bang on. Alex, this is incredible. One last question. I forgot.
Banks are not your friends, okay? Let's put it that way.
The slogan of Celsius, unbank yourself. You heard it here. I love that slogan. I totally forgot to ask this. You are the grandfather of DeFi. You coined it MOIP, money over IP. Everyone else went with DeFi. Maybe DeFi sounds a little sexier than MOIP. I guess it does. MOIP's a little off. It just doesn't really roll off the tongue nice.
MOIP. Yeah. I didn't have much choice,
Had to stick with it. Why did DeFi run and MOIP didn't?
Well, so the wording DeFi really stands for decentralized finance. And there are many different shades of decentralized finance. There's a pure version, which is, okay, I'm going to use only smart contract. There is a DAO. There's no one is in charge. And while that is great for maybe, again, 1% of the population that can figure out how to do farming and how to work with MetaMask and other wallets and what's a private key versus a public key and how not to get conned or have a rug pull or get stuck in the wrong pool of capital, right? Where you can basically lose all your money. Celsius decided to be your shepherd, right? Celsius is a different version of DeFi where we have a wallet just like your MetaMask. We pay you interest based on the best efforts we put in to create yield, but we also keep you safe, right? We know which ones are the safe projects. We know when is the time to get out so you don't have impermanent loss. We lend to institutions, exchanges, DeFi, retail, right? We do mining. So we have 5 or 6 different sources of yield. And if you try to do it yourself, you cannot beat the Celsius rate. So once in a while, you'll see Compound or Aave spike higher than Celsius. But if you took the average rates over the last year or 2 years, well, they didn't exist for 2 years. But if you take, as long as they existed, any of our competitors, you will see that on average, Celsius pays more on every asset. So the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, do I have time? And you have to press the button, be on the computer 24/7, be in the know of every new project, or you can just park your coins at Celsius and earn either in kind or in Cell. In Cell, no one in the world has beaten Celsius because, like you said, we're up over 6,000%. So that's like picking 1 out of 10,000 projects, right? Who's going to be the winner, right? And it's funny, like I was in several conferences, and like one of them, I think was Token 49 in LA. I was sitting on a panel with a bunch of smart asses who were all like, oh, I know which project is going to win. And I'm like, this is 2018. And I said, no, none of you know it, because if you knew it, you wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. You would be actually putting your money there. And they're like, well, do you know who's going to win? I'm like, no, I don't know, and I wouldn't be saying it to anyone. Meanwhile, it was us. So that was like the irony of the thing. So again, it's not that we Celsius or we DeFi are so good. The banks are doing such a horrible job with their customers. The Fed is doing such a horrible job with the dollar that it's not hard to be a winner. It's not hard to deliver this yield. And the opportunity for most people is really, do you want to unbank yourself? Do you want to sever that? It's like a bad marriage. One side is abusing the other side, and you just keep taking it. You keep coming, and they're slapping you across the face, and they're taking your money, and you don't do anything, right? What kind of relationship is that? So at Celsius, we pay interest every Monday. We make trust deposits every week, right? Whatever we earn for the week, we issue it to everybody on Monday. And you can go and verify. We also have what's called proof of community. So you can go on the blockchain and with zero proof verify that what we paid you was 80% of what we've earned. So all of these tools that we've created, I think, are a much better way for the 99%, not for the 1% who's like tech savvy and so on, but these are amazing tools for the 99% to join the crypto revolution. And when we started Celsius, our focus was on bringing the next 100 million people, not solving the problem for the guys who hold their keys and know how to farm and they're OGs of Bitcoin or Ethereum. They probably don't need my help, but the 7.8 billion people who are out there, every one of them, there isn't a person on the planet that you ask, okay, do you want to earn more in your money? Who will say, no, I'm already making so much money, I don't need any help. I'm killing it all by myself. 99% of those people are going to need a safe and transparent and a sustainable mechanism to earn yield.
Alex, you're the man. This was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for jumping on. Before we let you go, please tell our guests where they can find you on socials and online.
Sure. So Twitter is @Mashinsky, my last name. Celsius.network is the website. Download the app on Android or in the App Store, Celsius Network. And we're everywhere. We are on YouTube. Sign up. I have an AMA every Friday. So go search for Celsius Network and sign up. We answer. We have a guest every week. We answer viewers' questions. And there's tremendous amount of content already. Thousands of videos, both created by us and by the community, educating you about all the good things and the bad things of creating or using yield. And we'll be in Miami on June 4th at the Bitcoin conference. So come see us there. It's an amazing event. I'm so happy that they decided to do it in person, outdoors. So it's going to be phenomenal. So see you in Miami.
What a treat, folks. Alex Mashinsky, this was incredible. Alex, thanks so much for jumping on. Big thanks to your team for helping set this up. Big thanks to the Crypto News team as well for setting this up. Folks, this is the Crypto News Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Alex Mashinsky from Celsius. That is Celsius Network. If you enjoyed this, we'd love if you would subscribe. You're going to have plenty of other guests on the show, and Alex will definitely be on for round 2 in the near future. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you all shortly. Have a great day. All the best. Bye.